goes back to the year 2017. One of the most covered, one of the most talked about mass murder cases in Valley history. And this morning, after all those years since 2017, the wheels of justice are going to get rolling. We will have an update for you on the court case of an accused killer. Plus, Diddy's trial is beginning today in New York City. We're going to take you there live over the next few minutes. Also, you just might say, why didn't mom or dad put $1,000 into Warren Buffett's company when he first started it back in the 60s? Because wait till you hear how much that would be worth today. As the greatest investor, I think, in our country's history says it's time to finally hang it up. This is Fox 10 Talks. I'm Ron Hoon. Syleste Rodriguez will be joining us in the next couple of minutes. We're the show that brings you the information, the conversation, all the interesting stories of the morning. And we have many, many different ways that you can watch us here on YouTube, on the Fox local app. And by the way, now, for the first time, on Fox 10 Extra. So, again, we're glad you're with us this morning. And let's get right to our top story of the morning, and we go to Glendale. So it is a case that Glendale police have been very busy, detectives all night long, number of officers out on the scene of a mass shooting with a number of people killed as a result and others hurt. We're going to talk to Jose Santiago, who joins us now. Jose, if you could maybe give us just a little bit of the timeline of the events that happened last night. Can you hear me, Jose?
I can hear you now, yes.
Yeah, okay, please. Give us first, if you would, kind of the timeline of the events from last night.
Well, Ron, I can tell you that this all started about 7:45 on Sunday evening, and within 3 minutes, our officers were on the scene and had things under control. What I can tell you is that this all started as a fight amongst individuals that knew one another. There was a concert car show going on at that venue. The fight started during that concert. I can tell you the venue then asked for those individuals to leave the venue. When they went outside into the parking lot area, it escalated, and that's when the gunfire began between these groups of individuals that did know one another. This was an isolated incident that unfortunately escalated to the point where 3 individuals lost their lives and 5 others were injured. We can tell you out of the 3 individuals that lost their lives, all of them were males. The ages are 17, 21, and 29 years of age. The 17-year-old and the 29-year-old, we can tell you that those individuals are brothers. As far as the 5 that were injured, we're dealing with 2 females, ages 20 and 21, and 3 males, ages 20, 23, and 16. That 16-year-old, we can tell you that they did undergo surgery overnight. They are expected, though, to recover from those injuries. We are still looking for all the individuals that were involved with this shooting. We are still asking for the public to offer up any information that could lead us to those individuals. We know that we are dealing with multiple shooters in this case. But again, this was an isolated incident. And although there were innocent bystanders that were injured during all of this, we do not believe that there's an outstanding threat to the public.
Tell us, if you would, a little bit about how you're going to do the forensic work to try to narrow down whether this was, you say multiple, whether this was 2 shooters that opened fire, possibly 3 or more.
We can tell you that that's where our detectives are stepping up this morning. Right now, they're gathering all the shell casings. There are multiple shell casings, as you can imagine. By gathering all those shell casings, they can determine what types of weapons were used, what different types of weapons. At that point, we can determine how many shooters we are dealing with, and we can narrow down the scope of the amount of people that we're looking for. We're also talking to the individuals that were at that location. We're also gathering video evidence. There was a lot of people who were there gathering video through social media channels. So we're combing through all of that evidence as well so that we can narrow down the scope of the individuals that we're looking for.
Good morning, Jose. This is Celeste chiming in. It's good to hear your voice. Thank you for your time this morning. What can you tell us about the enormity of the crime scene? We're showing some Skyfox images right now, and you've been talking about how it's going to take some time to comb through all the evidence.
Well, we can tell you that we had about 200 to 300 people that were attending this event, so it became a little chaotic when you can imagine when you get that amount of people gathered in one space and you've got gunfire erupting. So it did become chaotic. People were running around. One of the things, again, that I really want to stress here is how grateful we are that our officers were able to get this under control within the amount of time that they did. Within 3 minutes, we were able to get this under control, and then a few minutes later, our fire department was able to get in there and start rendering aid. The fact that there are so many shell casings and the weather right now really isn't cooperating with the situation, that's what is becoming tedious in this process. Our officers are having to go through the parking lot, through the dirt lot in that area, and also the street area to try and gather as much of the shell casings as possible and try to piece this all together.
All right, so what can people, we will wrap it up with you here, but what can people do if either they were in the area, they think they might have a clue, maybe they even have some video or something they've posted on social?
There is no such thing as a little bit or useless information. We will take any information that you think that will lead us to the individuals that are responsible for all of this. We're asking folks to call into our non-emergency line, which is 623-930-3000. You can remain anonymous. There is no such thing as a little tip. We will take any information possible that will lead to getting these individuals off the street and some closure for these families that were involved.
Jose Santiago, we appreciate your time, City of Glendale.
Thank you.
Well, Celeste, it's just heartbreaking to hear about something. We're heading into Cinco de Mayo today. It was a weekend, I think, where there was just kind of a festive feel all across the valley. You know, you had a bunch of people getting together for a good time last night. This is a relatively new restaurant that has opened up right there in the heart of downtown Glendale. You know, the other story that we really should be spending quite a bit of time, I think, on any other day would be talking about it extensively, is the serial killer case that has been years and years in the making. The suspect has been identified as Cleophas Cooksey Jr., and his trial begins this morning in downtown Phoenix, charged with 8 murders that stretch back to that year. It all began when they arrested him, police did, for the murder of his own mom and his stepdad. And then with more and more detective work, they started to piece together what became apparently a more and a large and growing case against him. So opening statements getting underway this morning. We'll have extensive coverage on Fox 10. The other big court case in a national instance here is the Diddy case, Sean Diddy Combs. So, you know, we've been following it. The headlines were huge when it first happened. And Celeste, we've got Michelle Ross on the line here. I'm going to punch her up. I think we have her
Hey, Michelle.
ENG24. There she is. Michelle, what can you tell us about what's been happening this morning?
Good morning, Ron and Celeste. So as of this morning, potential jurors, they were briefly explained the charges against Diddy, and the judge reminded those potential jurors that Diddy has pleaded not guilty to all of those charges and that he is presumed innocent. When Diddy walked into the courtroom, he hugged his attorneys, and he was also seen in casual clothing, different from his usual prison uniform that we've seen him in those past hearings. Now, he wore a sweater with a white collared shirt underneath and gray slacks. The jury will be anonymous. This is often the case in high-profile trials to protect jurors from harassment. And jurors are being questioned one by one. The trial is expected to last around 2 months, and we can expect prosecutors to argue that Diddy used his power to force women to participate in drug-fueled orgies that lasted days, known as freak-offs. Diddy's defense team says everything was consensual, and his attorney, Mark Ignifilo, said during a hearing last month that there's nothing criminal about a swinger's lifestyle. And one of the 4 alleged victims expected to testify include R&B singer and ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura. And tonight, just a few miles uptown, is the Met Gala. This is a star-studded event that Diddy has attended in the past. It's also an event full of glamorous fashion and fundraising. So instead of heading there tonight, Diddy will be going back to his jail cell and coming back here tomorrow morning. We're live outside the federal courthouse in Lower Manhattan. Michelle Ross, Fox 5 News.
Michelle, just wondering if you've heard any talk about a timeline. I mean, this is a case they've spent months developing. What do you hear in that regards?
So jury selection should last all week. They are hoping to begin opening statements on Monday, and then this should last around 2 months. So just as the summer is getting started, that's when they hope to have a conviction or possibly a not guilty verdict.
You know, Michelle, today begins, I guess, the big effort to find jurors in this case. There's obviously, New York, one of the most populated cities in the country. Is it going to be difficult, you think, to find jurors who don't know a lot about this case who can, help out?
That's a great point, especially considering that he is from New York City, and with hip hop and rap music being big over here, New York City was the birthplace of hip hop. So it could be difficult. After hearing a jury consultant talk about this, it seems as if they're going to want to find an older crowd, maybe someone not so familiar with the hip hop scene and rap scene here in New York City and across the country. So we'll see at the end of the week if they've had any difficulty finding jurors.
Okay, that's our Michelle Ross reporting for us there from New York. Michelle, thank you.
That's not going to include you, though, Ron.
What's that?
You know rap music.
Oh, Celeste.
You are a hip man.
If you saw the list on my phone, oh my gosh, it's eclectic to say the least.
So I threw it up in the chat.
Okay.
If folks got weather. I mean, here in Arizona, when we get weather, it's almost like a national holiday.
Yes.
Especially this time of year on Cinco de Mayo to get rain and 60s first thing in the morning.
Okay.
So there's some people who have been chiming in the chat box. Shay Baby said, I believe it sprinkled for 12 seconds in Mesa.
Thank you for that immediate report. All 12 seconds, Shay.
Oh my goodness! So
great.
it's great to hear to read your guys' comments. Thank you.
Hey, so that's the kind of weather we're going to be dealing with now. It looks like for the next 2 days. But look at this in our mystery cam this morning. It's a sunny start to the day. I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. There's a lot happening, Celeste. It's the mystery cam. You guys can guess in the chat box, and we'll be back in 2 minutes. And we are back with you live. We have plenty of guesses once again on our mystery cam this morning, Celeste.
Yes, we do.
I'm still trying to, at first I thought, well, are they setting up for a carnival or what's going on? I mean, it looks like, I don't know, maybe a concert venue?
There's a lot of people there ready to have a good time. Maybe it's a big Cinco de Mayo gathering.
Could be. And then I see the things in the background, and I'm like, are those radio towers or oil wells, or what is going? There's more happening in this mystery.
I'm glad you mentioned oil wells, because I think you and Frankie D are onto something.
Oh?
Texas.
Oh, okay.
He said Texas.
He's a smart guy, Frankie D. Yeah.
Linda Montour says Kansas. B. Miguel said Louisiana. Husky Mom said ditto, Frankie, Texas. Sherry Nevada Pup says, let's be brave and say California. Jen Zwall says, I'm thinking the Carolinas. So we love hearing from all of you. If you're new to the feed, let us know. We love to hear where you're watching from and what brought you to the feed.
Okay, so I think it is in that part of the South, like a Texas or a Louisiana. I could even possibly go as far away as a Mississippi.
I was just thinking Mississippi.
Were you? Do you want to go with Mississippi?
I'm going to go Mississippi.
I'm going to go Frankie D. Rarely do I go wrong with his guesses, Celeste. So here she is now on the Celeste cam.
Here is the mystery
Is
cam.
it Texas or is it?
Or is it New Orleans?
See?
Louisiana.
We were both right around it. That's really New Orleans,
We were close. We were close. B. Miguel said Louisiana.
Oh, good. Way to go, Brandon.
Yes.
Oh, Brandon's one of our most loyal viewers here on the streaming show.
Way to go, Brandon.
Yeah. Oh, something like that, Celeste. Hold on.
What's happening? What's happening?
We try to be not too political, but we are going to talk politics right now, because if you didn't hear the story over the weekend, anymore, so much happens on the weekends that you have your choice of like 12 different headlines just coming out of whatever's going on with the president. And so one of the things, Celeste, that is generating so much talk has to do with The Rock, Alcatraz. Have you ever been there? You take those tourist boats and you get right across the water from Fisherman's Wharf or Pier 39.
We were there. We did.
You did go tour it?
Yeah, we toured it.
Oh, yeah.
Gary and I did. And we put you can put these headsets on.
Oh.
And the stories are told through the eyes of a prisoner.
Ooh.
And so
was it the famous Birdman?
Yes, that was one of them. There were several, actually.
Okay. Yeah.
But as you're walking into different rooms, it says this is where so and so would have slept, and this is where he would have eaten, and you know what I mean? And it's pretty interesting.
Well, I wonder if this plan goes through, which the president says he's already working on it, trying to get it moving forward here to once again make it a working prison. Because he's told the DOJ and the FBI to work together to enlarge the prison and to, just bring it up to speed. I think you'd have to do it. Shut down back in 1963 because there were problems with it all the way back then. So our poll question, and of course, Celeste, if you see any good comments on it, just let me know. But let's go to the poll question. As we say, now this is what's so strange to me. This is really strange. So we're rolling out this new poll question on the website, and it's 100% saying bad. Keep it as a tourist attraction. A 0 for the other options. But let's go to our traditional YouTube poll. We got our Dino Fazzini working on this.
It's completely Ron.
Yeah.
Opposite.
This is what we've got to get figured out. Well, anyway. Okay, so there we have, we're already closing in on 300 votes. And look how close it is, Celeste.
Well, you know what I think it is? So this YouTube poll, these are all of you in the chat box and people who happen to be maybe watching on YouTube.
Yeah.
The other poll are people who maybe are looking at the Fox 10 app.
Okay.
Or Fox Local app, we should say.
Yeah.
Because you can only vote on that through the app, I believe, unless you scan the QR code.
Oh,
that's up on the poll.
There you go.
This poll that we're looking at right now, Ron, let's put on our scientific political thinking caps here.
Very nice.
This is specifically for our YouTube audience.
Okay, well, this is what it says. Let's see, 44% say, good, we need more prison space in our country, make it happen. 31% say just keep it as a tourist attraction. But then you got another 25% who've kind of thought it through and said, it probably makes sense that we need a lot more prison space, but it probably costs less to just build some new prisons. We got an awful lot of land here.
Well, I have a few comments to read you on the lower end of that poll.
Okay.
Right? RLS Vids, who we haven't heard from in quite a while in the chat box. Good to hear from you in the comments. Says it's got to be more economical to build a new state-of-the-art facility versus refurbishing and running Alcatraz. Ron, that's what you shared.
Yeah.
Green Moment 670 said make it bigger and better. We need one like El Salvador has, one cell for each race in the country, in the world, I guess you could say. And then Mr. Pavoline says, who's paying for this? Mixed feelings.
Oh.
So you think about it is going to take, some money to refurbish or maybe it's just like, a stone prison on a rock.
Well, he is one of our more deep thinkers, Mr. Paul Valine.
Very, very deep thinker.
I mean, he's come up with some thoughts here.
Like a Socrates or like an Aristotle?
Mr. Paul Valine, you tell us. Do you want us to call you the Socrates of the streaming show of Fox 10 Talks, or what do you like?
Yeah,
right?
let us know in the chat.
Okay, so anyway, it is definitely getting quite a bit of talk, as is another story this morning, which has more to do with what's been going on with the cartels in Mexico. So many different headlines here. The president on Meet the Press, he's saying, I don't know if I have to uphold the Constitution when it comes to people who are in the country illegally. Remember,
Yes.
she was kind of pressing him on that, and he said, I don't know. We have legal people that are looking at that. But one of the other headlines had to do with these drug cartels operating in Mexico, and he has said to Mexico's president, Claudia Sheinbaum, look, we'll send our troops in, and we'll solve this problem for you once and for all. And remember, she had said earlier going into the weekend, I told him no.
Yeah.
You're not going to bring them into our country. There's a
Right.
sovereignty issue here. He says she's too afraid of the cartels.
Oh,
Interesting.
That has been a part of Mexican culture for a long time.
Yeah.
For a very long time. Because this is a safe space, Ron.
Is it?
It's a safe space. This
It's
is
a
your
beautiful
circle.
space. Okay. Yeah.
Circle of trust. So I was hiking one time with a girlfriend of mine, and we're talking about these on Netflix, all the cartel shows.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, oh my goodness, I'm watching this and whatever. And she's like, well, I had family that worked for El Chapo in Mexico. Oh. And I thought
she just blurts that out.
Yeah, because we're just talking. We're close. We're friends.
You're just up in the middle of a hike.
We're on the Freedom Trail at Piestewa Peak.
Okay.
But you know what she said that was interesting? It was a different perspective, and I thought wow, okay.
Yeah.
She said in Mexico, the cartels, they win the people over by building their schools, by building their churches, by building their cities, by paving their streets, by giving their family jobs.
Yeah.
And so for some people in Mexico, in these smaller rural towns, they don't necessarily have a negative perspective about them because they look at them different. So I think that the government and the cartels, I think it's believable to say that, I don't know, maybe she's thinking they got the power of the people, or at least some people behind them.
Interesting. Here is exactly what the president had to say on Air Force One coming back yesterday from Florida.
If Mexico wanted help with the cartels, we would be honored to go in and do it. I told her that. I would be honored to go in and do it. The cartels are trying to destroy our country. They're evil.
And so there you see the president's take on it, saying we'd go in and we'd solve that problem. But it doesn't look like it's going to happen, but it is sure getting a lot of talk this morning. What else are you seeing?
Mr. Pavoline responded.
Yes, what did he say?
First of all, he said, love you guys, which I thought, we love you. We
too,
love you too, buddy.
Yeah.
The other thing is, he said Einstein Peters.
Okay.
That's
how he wants us to refer to him?
Right.
Okay. That sounds like two last names, but anyhow, Syleste, the other stories that we're following this morning, self-deporting is now going to apparently become a new thing. Did you hear about this? The president said that it would be less expensive if people would just voluntarily self-deport if they've been thinking about it, they got into the country illegally, and that they'll even give you spending money. They'll put you on a flight.
I read that.
Back to your home country, and then they give you $1,000.
I don't think anybody's going to do that.
Oh, you think? Are you thinking it's more like the airlines where they start at? We need somebody to volunteer here, and they offer it like $500, and then it goes to $1,000 and $3,000, and
maybe just wait it out a little bit.
The price is not high enough. Okay,
they're like, come to the airport, see if the price goes up. We may give you more.
Yeah,
that's good.
Okay, Syleste, let's talk about the guy who has just, I think, kind of shocked the investing world. A guy named Warren Buffett, who's been running the Berkshire Hathaway Company. And he has his once-a-year get-together at, I think it's just down the road from the Dairy Queen in Omaha.
Oh, okay. Don't you love a good DQ?
Well, yeah. I mean, he was one of the earliest investors in Dairy Queen, and supposedly he goes there a lot.
Did he ever say what he ordered?
I don't know, but I hope it was a dipped cone. If you have one option at a Dairy Queen drive-thru, Syleste, what would it be?
It would be the dip cone.
Would it? Over a dilly bar?
Over a dilly bar. And they have, on some occasions, the cake batter dip cone.
Oh, I see that, right?
Which is even better.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I did a little bit of research for today's streaming show, Fox 10 Talks, and here's what I came up with. If dear old mom or dad back in the 1960s had put $1,000 into his company when he first started Berkshire Hathaway.
Okay.
Which it's considered sort of, I think they call it value investing, where he's not buying the high flyers necessarily. He bought See's Candy because he liked the way their chocolates tasted.
Well, yeah, I mean, that actually is a good
approach.
Because if you love it,
right,
then you're going to believe in it.
Okay, so do you remember, I actually revealed the number here on our morning show on TV a little while ago, but if you put $1,000 in when he started his company back in the 1960s, what do you think it would be worth today? $1,000.
1960s.
Correct. 1965, I believe.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. I'm going to say $1,000. I'm going to go it'd be worth like $500 million.
Okay. In other words, you don't like 10% of the entire valley? What are you saying, Syleste?
Okay, maybe 100 million.
Well, this is a bummer, but it's only 26.7 million.
Oh, that's a lot of money.
Hey, we got to take a break. We'll be right back. Okay.
His sister's name is Stacy, and his older brother.
Okay.
Are we supposed to be back up?
Yep. And here we go. Oops. What's happening?
All right, welcome back, everyone. 10:30 this morning. You are looking at our ADOT cameras. It's been raining here in Arizona, and which is very uncommon this time of year, of course, on Cinco de Mayo. But it's perfect weather for Mexican food, which is gonna get you ready for the guacamole, which is winning our poll, Ron, on our Fox Local app.
Oh, yes?
Yes, guacamole is winning.
Nice. You know, I went for the bean dip.
A bean dip's good.
Yeah, I think so.
I do not discriminate, actually. I go for it all.
Hey, so we have a real treat for you guys nowadays. And coming up, we're going to be talking with one of our great producers, Trenton. But first, we have what we call lovingly the Dave Cam. So Dave is our executive producer here for our streaming shows. And he's been kind of interacting with you guys as well. What kind of comments, Dave, have you been seeing either on Alcatraz or anything else?
Yeah,
Kinda
so
looks
a
like
lot
Dave
of
is
good,
an Alcatraz
good comments
himself.
here. Jens Wall says, I would not want to be a prisoner at Alcatraz. It is haunted. Model Tuesday Ray says, keep that prison where it is in the past. And I really liked, outside of that poll, Kayla Anderson says, let's have a good day on purpose, everyone. So great to chat with everybody on the Fox 10 Talks YouTube channel.
Oh, that's great, Dave. Hey, thank you for that. By the way, here's Syleste, who of the three of us who are sitting here in the studio right now, I think you're the only one who's actually been to Alcatraz. Have you been there, Trenton?
Have not.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the only one in heels, which also is true.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes.
But did you ever get the feeling, that weird feeling
Yes.
that the ghosts were haunting Alcatraz?
It's
really?
well, okay. It's cold because it's concrete and rock and everything, but I think you have this like eerie feeling as you're walking through there, knowing that the people who actually lived in these cells were criminals, like murdered people,
Yes,
and it just
right.
had done heinous crimes or been convicted of the heinous crimes, anyways.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's like there is a feeling that maybe there's evil spirits there or something.
Okay.
And there's something about those penitentiaries from
Right?
that era too.
Yeah.
One of the creepiest ones I ever went to was Penn State Penitentiary.
Oh.
It's in Philadelphia.
Ooh.
And what's crazy is every year they'll do a haunted house in the
In the
penitentiary.
prison?
Yeah.
Ooh,
And a lot of it's left in the same, condition it was in the 60s. And it's wild.
Well,
That
because
sounds
then you have
creepy.
people
Same
who may
feel.
be mentally ill who might have been in there.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
right,
All kinds
sure.
of things.
A lot
you
of
know.
stories there.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if at home you're wondering now, we love Trenton. What's he here to talk about today? So he's one of our great producers. He was working this weekend, and we just decided, Trenton, to get a little bit more into one of the most unusual court cases, I think, in the country. Because artificial intelligence, in a way, you could say, almost brought this victim back from the grave. Some people I think are going to be creeped out by it. Others are going to say, wow, that is maybe one of the most impactful things I've ever heard. Give us the setup, though.
Yeah, so a little interesting story here. Originally, we go back to 2021. His name was Chris Pelkey. He was a Chandler man, and Chris was also a combat veteran. I believe he served in Iraq and Afghanistan. And there was an incident that happened out there at an intersection between him and another man, a road rage incident at a red light. Words were said, tensions flared, and then it ended with gunfire, and Chris was killed there. And past few years, his family was seeking justice. And eventually it did turn into a manslaughter trial with the guy that was convicted of it.
Was it
this
his
year.
sister's idea she's
Yep.
kind of in this world of
Yep.
AI
So after the jury obviously found the guy guilty, sister decided, hey, this would be great to have Chris actually address the court, address the judge, but also address the killer.
Okay.
So that was what was played.
You know, that. Do you have it this morning, Ron?
Yeah, we're going to play
all right,
it.
let's play it
Yeah.
now.
Okay.
Hello. Just to be clear for everyone seeing this, I am a version of Chris Pelkey recreated through AI that uses my picture and my voice profile to Gabriel Horcasitas, the man who shot me. It is a shame we encountered each other that day in those circumstances. In another life, we probably could have been friends. I believe in forgiveness and in God who forgives. I always have, and I still do. Thank you to everyone for being here. It means more than you know. Well, I'm going to go fishing now. Love you all. See you on the other side.
Closes there with the video of him actually out fishing.
Wow.
And then look at that. So I'm sure we both, Celeste, have plenty of questions, but one of mine is, how did the judge, A, rule on this and react to it?
Yeah. So one of the things we were talking about this weekend, our Fox 10 reporter who covered the story, Nicole Christine, we were looking, just if there was a precedent in other courtrooms. Has anybody ever used AI-generated content, in a courtroom for a victim impact statement? We couldn't find one. And, Chris's family, they said, we didn't do this on a whim. We got permission from the judge. We did it very methodically to, get his videos, to use his voice profile to play this out. And, the judge said, let's go ahead and do it. So it was really an unprecedented move. And, I think we have some sound from the judge who was clearly moved by it.
Let me call that up right here.
I love that AI. Thank you for that. I feel that was genuine, that his obvious forgiveness of Mr. Horcasitas reflects the character I heard about today.
There's something about seeing Chris and the man that I knew and the belief that I thought in my head that Chris would have forgiven this guy. But to see his face and to hear his voice say it, just waves of healing washed over my soul, because that was the man that I knew.
Wow.
Our chat box is on fire on this right now.
What are you hearing,
People
Celeste?
are just like, wow, this is crazy. It's incredible. RLS Vid says, it is a bit takes you back. He said it's weird.
Sure.
Because you know that person has passed, but then it's their voice and maybe their mannerisms. Obviously maybe the family can speak a little bit more about that. But
by the way, I'm loving these pictures. We're showing him growing up. We were just showing what was his background in the military, Trenton?
Yeah, I believe he was a combat veteran, served in Iraq and Afghanistan in the War on Terror.
Okay.
Had a pretty distinguished career as far as we could tell in the Army, and then came back. I know his family did tell us a little bit that Chris did have a little bit of struggles, but by all intents and purposes, had a pretty good life here in Arizona.
wow.
So what are you seeing, Celeste?
Similar to what I just shared. I mean, Jen Swall was just like, "What? That's crazy." Because I think initially, this is. I wonder if this is going to be something we're going to see more of. Right? Is this going to set precedent?
Yep.
For a lot of other cases.
Were we able to get a feel on that very question?
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. So not only did the attorneys talk about that in court, that this is, an unprecedented move that hasn't really happened before. But, the judge said, hey, it's fair game. But the other interesting thing in Arizona is just this year alone, we've kind of been at the cutting edge of using AI technology in a legal sense. If you guys remember back in, I believe it was March, the Arizona Supreme Court Chief Justice allowed that all news releases for the high court would be through AI-generated kind of hosts breaking down, here's the important cases, here's what they're doing, here's how they're happening. So, I think we're going to see more of it.
Yeah. That part blows my mind.
Yeah. And Jen Walsh shared something. She says, I think they should make all guilty people listen to something similar like this. Like,
yeah,
if there's
play
a
it in the
victim,
cell every day. You have to listen back to it.
Yeah.
Oh, what? Is that too much, Celeste? Come on.
No.
I'm one of these guys that if you put me on the jury, I'm ready to throw the book at a lot of different people in different
you
cases.
just look like it was like a light bulb went off. You're like, whoa. But I do think that you make a good point.
He
Jen
had to hear
Swall.
it in the courtroom, right?
Yeah, because in the heat of the moment, like in a road rage situation that happened with this man, in the heat of the moment, sometimes you lose your wits about you. And if you do something like that and you don't have control over your senses, when you are watching that, you are more in control, and you realize the depth of the crime.
Yeah. Well, and just an important note, a little bit of distinguishment here for the folks at home is that this was after he was convicted.
Yes.
So
victim impact statements.
Thank you.
Had no case on the jury. And what was his sentence, by the way?
So he was sentenced to 13 years for manslaughter and also endangerment because, when he shot Chris to death, some of those bullets did go beyond him and landed in another vehicle, and I believe endangered the life of a family too.
We should have you back to talk a little bit more. I know we're going to have to head to a break soon, but the Supreme Court with the AI decision, the AI has seeped its way into so many different parts of our society. We're going to see so much more of that.
We're just at the beginning of it. Really.
Definitely.
I'll tell you what wasn't artificial this weekend. All that weather. Holy cow. Trenton, thank you very much, by the way.
Thank you, Trenton.
Celeste, what did you think when the rain started coming down? Now, this is sort of in the downtown area.
I thought, who washed their car?
Yeah.
Because it's really coming down. It's wild here in Arizona, and many of you in the chat box, let us know what the rain was like in your cities all around the state. But it's interesting because you can see the sun shining in some parts of this video.
Right.
And then you see obviously rain, and some parts of the valley saw hail.
Yeah.
It's just our valley is so scattered. It's just wide that you can have the West Valley get rain, but the East Valley not, and vice versa.
Yeah. Well, I went out for a little walk right around 6 o'clock last night, and it's so funny living out there in East Mesa like I do. I walked out the front door. I looked to the left, out toward the Superstitions, clear as a bell. I took a right, heading, in other words, westward, more toward like Gilbert. Not that I was going to walk that far.
When you say westward to me, I'm thinking Glendale.
Right. You're thinking, surprise, the white tanks. For me, going to Gilbert is as far west as I can go. Anyway, it was so ominous looking. So we're going to talk a little bit more about this crazy weather coming up after the break, because we think we're in store for it for the next couple of days, and then there is a big change coming. But for right now, we will take a break. Celeste, let me just pop up the next camera that our great Dean Fazzini has found for us here. Let's see. I think this is going to be up on ENG 23.
Marino 19 said nothing in the East Valley.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so maybe he's in one part. But, yeah, it was beautiful. Gave our AC units a break, Ron.
It sure did. And how about Flagstaff? You can't even see the mountain right now. We'll be right back.
All right, welcome back, everyone. You are looking live at Flagstaff, Arizona. And you're right, Ron, you can't even see the San Francisco peaks behind that courthouse there, that one of those courthouse buildings.
Yeah. So we hope that when the clouds part, which could still be another day or two, that there's even more snow. Ooh. Everything we can do to get out of the drought is really great. By the way, let me just punch up here. So on this streaming show, we have all the buttons. We have access to it. This is what it's looking like live from our South Mountain Tower cam.
Wow.
You can see one little area of sunshine, which I think is from about 7th Street over to 24th Street, just in the very southern part of the city. And otherwise, check it out.
Yeah, Linda Monterth in the chat box said, we washed our car in Gold Canyon on Saturday, so you're welcome.
Thank you, Linda.
Now, please share with the Safford area.
Right?
I know we wish more rain would come and kind of like spread itself across. I do have to say we opened the windows and the doors yesterday in the valley.
Yeah.
And we're able to give like the AC a little bit of a break.
Anita told me this morning on the morning show that she had her windows rolled down the whole way driving in.
Oh, yeah.
Meaning even when she was on the freeway.
Yeah, just let you.
I mean, that's going to give you a windblown look whether you want it or not,
good
Celeste.
Good thing we got a blow dryer here at the station.
Yeah, we do. So anyway, we got a little bit more video we're going to share with you. Let me just see where this is here. This is VO5. Tell us a little bit about it, Celeste. Look at this.
Oh, my goodness. Look at that. Let me read some of these. Elroy Dale, good morning. You're in the chat box. You said rain this morning in White Ruins. Now the sun is out, probably drying out some of that rain that was there in your city. But this is, we've seen hail in some parts of the valley. It's been wild. Like Angela Brockelman, she said, we had hail yesterday about dime to nickel size, and then downpour overnight, and then on and off rain throughout the evenings and the morning hours. I mean, just really what a sweet treat this is. We just have to be so grateful in the Sonoran Desert for something like this because it's very rare. I read something on X, I think it was like maybe, might have been a couple weeks ago, and it said from the National Weather Service that we're expecting a very wet monsoon. Technically, we're not in the monsoon here in the valley or across Arizona until, June 15th?
June 15th.
Through September 30th.
Yeah. Crazy to think the monsoon is, 5-6 weeks away.
Right. And so I don't know if this is just kind of like Mother Nature giving us a little taste of what's to come.
Yeah.
But we're loving it.
Yeah.
We're loving it.
And here was when one of our photojournalists was out there driving around. The thing is, boy, when these showers come, I mean, it can get slick on the roadways right away.
Ron, Mr. Paul said, yep, and I washed my wife's car on Saturday as well. So thank you, Mr. Paul. He actually works at the airport. So
he does?
Yeah, do you have another shot of that tower camera on, or are we already moved past
no,
that?
Let me go find it here.
Because
right
he
there.
is, and I think he's given us some hearts here on the video
Mr.
and on
Paul
the chat
Valine
box.
is? Nice.
He says, so look at the airport. Do you see me waving? He's somewhere in the middle of that city. He said his house AC kept kicking on last night, even though it was super cool outside.
Right.
But, and look at Dean Fazzini. Thank you, Dino, moving that tower cam for us towards the airport.
You know what? He's going to zoom into Sky Harbor. I don't think this is not quite as high-def a camera as some of our others. But if you see a bleary figure just kind of out there at gate, C22 or something.
Yes.
That would be Mr. Paul Valine.
Mr. Paul Valine, we see you. We see you.
That's so great.
Thank you, Dean. Great job, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, look, there's the focus.
Okay.
Yeah, sure enough, you can see some of those planes.
Look at that! Look at where the sun is shining, like that one little pocket of sunshine.
Right.
Who sings that song? Pocket Full of Sunshine.
Oh, I'm trying to
Natasha
remember.
Bedingford? Is that or
I think so. I think so.
I think so.
There's a Winona song that starts, "Everywhere I look, the sun is shining."
Oh, nice.
And so, anyway, Dean on the cam, he's just doing great for us. That is for sure. But one of the things that we wanted to be sure to talk about today has to do with Celeste.
Yes.
Did you see what happened in Rio this weekend?
De Janeiro?
Correct. What's the other one?
Rio Verde?
No, check this out. right there from her Instagram. So she posted the next morning after the big show on the Copacabana beach. She posted, by the way, with 3.6 million likes. Thank you for coming out and being part of this. It was the largest concert in the world ever attended for a female singer.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
That's incredible. And are you going to, is this about the situation with there was some sort of threat?
Yeah, no, there was like a bomb threat, or there was they were worried that somebody was going to try to set off a bomb or something like that. But the next day, she's just talking about how it was one of the most incredible experiences of her life. And look at the love these people have for her.
I know. And she said that she never knew. She never knew that was a concern.
Right.
They probably kept it from her because they had already solved the situation and took care of it before the concert even began.
Right.
But what's the last concert, Ron, you attended? Like, I just asked this in the chat box too, because I think there's something beautiful about live music.
Yes.
You know,
I know exactly what it was for me, and then I want to ask you as well.
Okay, go for it. You go.
So when I went to the Elton John concert at Chase Field a few years ago, it was in November, and was that 23? Yeah, I think it was. No, wait, or it could have been 22. Anyway, it was $275 for the seats. We weren't even down on the front.
$275,
and we were up in the lower bowl, not way up there, but anyway, it felt like a lot. I said, driving away, great concert. I'll never spend that much money. Then the Eagles came to town,
and you spent double.
And it was $400.
Whoa, to be Ron Hoon.
Well, Celeste. Okay, how much did you guys pay for Chris Stapleton?
Oh, we paid a lot.
Did you pay $400 plus?
Yes.
Okay.
But I saved up, Ron,
$450?
all year.
This is going to be Price is Right. I'm not letting you off the hook, Celeste. $500? Stop me when I'm
I think it was right
close.
around there. It was right around $500.
Okay. In other words, stop. I got you.
But there is something, I think, about live music.
Right.
And I think during COVID, we realized it more than ever because we were able to go, oh my goodness, I'm missing something. And then live music, I feel like, is like sports.
Yeah.
Like you can have different political beliefs.
And it all brings you together. That is a really good point. What is the most epic concert you've ever seen? I would say about a lot of these people, 2.5 million, probably are going to say seeing Gaga live at Copacabana Beach. But what was the most epic show? You thinking back to your early days of concerts or more recent?
You know, there's a lot of good music out there. I would have to say probably Dave Matthews Band.
Oh, is that right?
Because so many of the artists have instruments and they're on stage.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's something about like big bands
that
are great. I love.
For me, it was Elton John when he had just come out. This goes back to the 70s when he's like the biggest thing in the world musically.
Yes. Okay.
And he had come out with an album called Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. And
Never heard of it.
I was living in a little apple town up in the state of Washington called Wenatchee, and got out of school for the day. I'm trying to remember if it was with a permission slip or not.
I don't know.
Don't remember, thankfully. But we walk into this concert venue, and we, festival seating. And the stage, he comes up on the stage and starts singing "Funeral for a Friend," which has all that organ music, and then a song called "Love Lies Bleeding." And it was just, I couldn't believe. I think I was about 16 or 17 years old, and I thought, I did not cry. I cried.
There's no crying.
I did. I'm willing to admit I cried at one concert.
Okay.
It was James Taylor with the Mormon Tabernacle Choir.
Oh, awesome.
And now they have an orchestra that goes with it. And when he sang "In My Mind, I'm Going to Carolina," I'm like, this is overwhelming.
Well, the Tabernacle Choir, I have to say, I cry every time I listen to gospel music.
Yes.
I'm just like the healing
really
power.
Quite amazing.
Okay, I threw this out there in the chat box. I want to get to this because I know we're coming up here on the end for a little bit. But Michael Lewis said Usher in Vegas.
Oh, is that right?
That's right. Angela Brockelman says Justin Timberlake, Can't Stop the Feeling.
Oh.
And then she says, Michael said, a different Michael. Good morning, Michael. Metallica in Glendale. We have Def Leppard and Styx by Husky Mom. And let's see, Mr. Pavline, he would love to see the Red Hot Chili Peppers, though. Fits in the Tantrums, at Red Rocks in Colorado. That was RLS Vids.
I love Fits in the Tantrums.
You know, on streaming, sometimes you can see the concerts live.
Yes.
And when you watch, I've never been to the Red Rocks in Colorado, but when you have concerts there was one, I think U2 or Dave Matthews Band. It was like, oh my goodness, so great.
Yeah.
I did cry at one concert.
Okay.
Pantera White Zombie.
Yeah, I bet you did. Only because your ears were ringing for 4 days.
Mom, help me.
Hey, just real quick, we were going to mention this whole thing about the secret menu. I want to see if we even came up with it at McDonald's. So apparently you can order a cotton candy float. Is that what it is?
You know, Ron, while you're looking for that right now, I'm just going to mention we were talking about, come on in, Anita. We were talking about Warren Buffett and how he eats Dairy Queen, right?
Yeah.
And so I did look this up, and he actually could, because he loves Dairy Queen.
Sure.
He has ice cream sundaes. That's his thing.
I love that.
At DQ, at DeQuois.
By the way, so here's the what's getting all the talk, and Anita joins as well. But the cotton candy Sprite, you start with Sprite. You add a cup of Sprite, and then the syrup. You mix in 3 pumps of French vanilla syrup. Ooh. You add club soda, and then put your vanilla extract in. And
that sounds good.
Yeah, it actually does sound pretty good,
it actually sounds like some of those soda shop things, that you can do.
Yeah.
That sounds delicious.
Sure.
We should give it a shot.
Maybe you could already get it one of those swig places.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I wonder if maybe we can do a dupe in the studio.
The teachers at one of the schools where I was today, celebrating National Teacher Appreciation Week, were actually doing that. They had that whole bar set up.
Yeah.
They had a couple different types of soft drinks. They had the different flavors.
Oh, this is great.
Mm-hmm. They had vanilla. They had like a lemon lime.
Love it. Mm-hmm. Hey, by the way, so here's what we encourage you to do, those of you who are watching on YouTube.
Yes.
Just keep watching on YouTube. If you happen to be watching on TV, we're going to continue with our regular programming.
Yes.
But for our massive YouTube audience, Anita, what's coming up next hour?
So if you guys are familiar with a gentleman named the Blue Collar Brawler, he does something that I bet none of us would ever do.
Okay.
He wrestles gators and snatches them off of.
I don't know.
Wow.
Ron might do
Right,
that.
Ron might.
I never miss a chance, Celeste.
He has some viral video, and so we're going to be chatting with him.
That's going to be so great.
We've got tequila for Cinco de Mayo as well.
Okay. It's all coming up right after this break.
Thanks for watching.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Our producer's talking to us. Dave, go ahead.
We got lots going on here.
Dave doesn't know what time the show starts.
Dave, it's 11 o'clock, dude.
Did you have a good weekend?
Oh, I did. And the weather yesterday, I don't know how many people are from Arizona that are watching. It was fantastic.
The weather today is fantastic.
Yeah, if you like that gloom. Let me see if I can pull that shot back up of outside. Hold on.
I think it's behind us.
Oh. Well, that helps too. But we did have a cool.
If that is the one you're referring to.
We had a cool South Mountain shot.
The outside shot?
Yeah, that you could see all the rain that was still coming down over some of the higher elevations. But a beautiful weekend. Hopefully you are all relaxed and ready to start your new work week. But we've got a lot going on this Monday morning. Do you want to introduce our first guest?
Yeah.
Well, should we show it off first?
Yeah. Would you? I think this is along those lines of would you, could you ever? I know that you have a fear of snakes. I have a fear of birds.
Okay.
I probably would never, ever imagine doing what the blue collar brawler does.
Mm-hmm. So give us a little background on what he does. You want to watch it first?
Let's take a look.
So here we go.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Wow.
So we have Mike. Mike is the actual blue collar brawler from Florida joining us on Zoom. Good morning. Can you hear it? There you are. Good morning.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good.
Yep, I'm here. How you guys doing this morning?
How are you?
I'm awesome. Couldn't be better. Thank you guys for having me on.
So we had you on about a year ago when you first went viral. And now you have another video going viral, the one on the side of the freeway. Tell us what you do exactly and how you got into it.
Yeah, so I'm a nuisance alligator trapper for the state of Florida. And usually what happens is these emergency alligator calls, these gators show up unexpectedly. And they give me a phone call and I respond immediately. I'm usually the first to get there. So that's why I always get these awesome opportunities. This one just happened to be in the craziest yet, in the middle of the 95 highway.
That is absolutely unbelievable.
Oh my gosh.
Now, look at that. Now these things are fighting back. How do you, I guess, combat the audio's a little overpowering. I don't know if there's a way we can turn the audio down just a bit. How you are able to, I guess, control these guys, because these are massive beasts out there.
Yeah, correct. So it does take time. You have to learn these animals and figure out how they operate, because you can get hurt and killed, man. You got to tire them out. You can't jump on an alligator when it's got a ton of energy, or else he'll just destroy you. So that's why I had him moving around and getting him a little bit crazy, expend all of his energy, and then I'm able to jump on him and tape him up and get him out of there.
Mike, how did you guys get into this?
Yeah, I was actually given the opportunity a while back, a few years ago, to get the opportunity to be a trapper. And I went in front of a board and got this chance to do it. And it's just been one year after the other, the Lord giving me crazy opportunities to catch alligators at elementary schools, on the side of the highway, in the middle of the main, busy street. It's just been in a trash can. It's been pretty crazy, and every single time I use the opportunity to give God the glory and bring the community together.
Okay, so we're getting some comments from our viewers. One says, "Oh wow, heck no." Then we've got a "holy moly," and then we have a thumbs up for Florida. So you're saying this is a great opportunity, whereas Ty and I would turn around and run and say, "Oh heck no."
I don't think so.
Yeah. Do you ever? You're smiling in these videos. You're laughing. Do you ever have any fear?
My heart always gets pumping. My adrenaline's always going, but I live for this stuff. So I wouldn't say that fear is the right word. I'm excited, and I'm anxious, I guess, while I'm doing it. But it's not fear. I really love doing this thing, and I wouldn't rather be anywhere else.
Craziest place that you've ever wrangled a gator?
The craziest place that I've ever wrangled an alligator, I'd say probably the middle of 95.
Yeah, that's
there
a
was
good
just
one.
thousands, hundreds or thousands of cars flying by, middle of the highway. I mean, semi-trucks just flying by. You could feel the energy coming off these vehicles. I was stepping in sand spurs and who knows what else. My feet were bleeding. It was pretty intense. And this one's, I think, the most viral yet. So, again, praise God for the opportunity to help somebody out there.
You mentioned your feet, and I wanted to ask you, why don't you wear shoes?
I go most places barefoot, honestly. I love living life with no shoes and no sleeves, you know? But it really is better to catch alligators with no shoes on, in my opinion. In most places, it's like wearing gloves when you're trying to play the guitar. It's just, it doesn't really work. So I do that for a reason. I just prefer doing it.
Our producer said you should wear Crocs. Get it? Haha. LOL.
He's like, I've heard that one before.
We have a couple. We have a couple questions, Ty. From
Yeah.
our
So
viewers.
people are asking, have you ever been bit or come close to getting a bit when you're out on one of these calls, Mike?
Yeah, I lost one finger.
Oh, I was like, oh my gosh.
No, I'm kidding. I have not been bit. Thank you, Jesus.
Wow.
But definitely some close calls. But, you know, I am a professional, so I'm good at what I do. And I got a beautiful wife, Sachelle, and 4 kids. So I got to get home to them and play football in the front yard. So I can't risk losing anything.
Do they ever stop fighting you once you tape the mouth?
Yeah, I'd definitely say so. You tape the mouth and they still, you know, wiggle around and snap back and forth at you, but you're pretty safe once their mouth is taped. I mean, the big ones can definitely hurt you with their tail, and their skull is so hard. If it hits you, it can hurt and kill you too. I mean, that's blunt force trauma. It'd be like getting hit in the head with a baseball bat if you got hit in the head by him, if he turned his head and tried to hit you with it.
Now, when you started filming these and posting these, did you ever think that they were going to go as viral as they have been? I mean, you have been on every kind of like morning national talk show in the country talking about your wild adventures. Did you ever think it would go this viral?
No, I definitely didn't think it would go this viral. But what I am really grateful for is the fact that it's gone viral and it's given me a platform to talk about, you know, one, my relationship with Jesus, but also my nonprofit organization that helps veterans and first responders. It's not about me, man. And by these things going viral, it's given me the opportunity to help a lot of people out there. So me and my team help a lot of people out there. So praise God for the opportunity once again.
Tell us about that nonprofit.
So Project Savior Outdoors, we fight veteran and first responder suicide. We do that by plugging them into the outdoors and sharing the true freedom that comes through Jesus. Guys apply to the website who are struggling, or friends or family members apply to our website. We get to them, bring them to us, plug them in on a hunt, and then plug them back into our discipleship program, both local and online, to do life with those guys moving forward. So it's been a lifesaver. And you can get more information at projectsavioroutdoors.org.
Yeah, you guys, how long have you been doing this? How long have you been working with veterans? I imagine you have some really fantastic stories that come out of that.
Yeah, and there's you can follow us on social media as well, Project Savior Outdoors, and see the videos from guys in darkness now in the light. And I mean, we all struggle and go through our valleys, but when you've got a community and a purpose behind you and a relationship with the Lord, nothing can stop you from continuing that fight forward. So that's what we try to push to all of our guys and everyone that's part of our community. And if you're looking for a community like that, you know, check us out.
We are getting more questions from our viewers. One of them asking, what do you do with the gators after you catch them?
So, I mean, there's protocol that I can't really discuss in detail, but I mean, you can kind of, you know, I'm sure you understand. Some alligators after a certain size have to be harvested, and you know, I guide hunts down in the Everglades too. So on that note, I'll tell you, any alligator that I've ever harvested, either I use the meat or donate the meat, and all the leathers and everything. So every little bit of an alligator that I've ever harvested through my adventures, one being blue collar hunts, is it's all used, man. It's all used. The animal's well honored and taken care of.
Now, Mike, do people call you now and be like, hey, I've got a gator in my backyard or whatever? Or how do you get the call to go out on some of these?
Yeah, so the state calls me for my nuisance calls. Everything that you see on social media that's me like in a street or at somebody's house or something like that, it's a nuisance alligator call. Anything that you see of me, and the state contacts me directly to do those calls. But anything that you see of me like wrestling these monster alligators out in the swamp is through Blue Collar Hunts. It's my hunting outfitter. I take people all over the country on alligator and hog hunts down in the swamp. So it's an incredible time, and it's an awesome way to make memories for sure.
How many times a day or week does the state call you and say, we have a gator problem?
This time of year, it's quite a bit. You know, it's getting into the busy season. It goes from cold weather to hot weather, and the alligators start to get fired up and moving. So right now I'm getting probably about, 2 to 5 calls a week to go catch alligators. And man, this was just one of them.
Wow.
How big was that guy on the highway?
The highway was 10 foot, probably about 300 pounds. Wow. That gator right there that you're looking at is from last year. That actually was probably, I think he was 9 foot, probably like, 150, 200 pounds. The one on the main highway with all the traffic flying by was this year, about a week ago, and he was 10 foot, 300. He was much bigger.
300 pounds?
Oh, yeah. The one of, not this guy showing right now, but you'll see the one of the main highway. That thing was 300 pounds.
Oh, my gosh. Unbelievable. Now, are there ever times you come away from this and like, ooh, that was a little close, or wow, I need to do XYZ next time? Do you kind of learn something different on each of these, I guess, kind of excursions and calls you go out on?
Yeah, you always learn a little something new, just like with anything else, but it's the same thing over and over and over again. You just, every single time, you have to be present-minded, and you've got to be paying attention. You got to have your timing down right, and you just got to be careful. Sometimes when we're out on our hunts, you're having fun with buddies and friends, and sometimes I'll get a little bit more sketchy with how I operate, and it's almost bit me a few times. Ooh. So you just got to be careful, and you can't take these animals lightly. They can legitimately ruin your life or kill you.
Yeah.
We've got 30 seconds. Your nonprofit, one more time.
The nonprofit's projectsavioroutdoors.org.
Okay, we thank you for your time.
That was wild.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. And we got probably 10 seconds left. I'm now speaking around the country, sharing my story. Once being shot and left for dead, to being redeemed through my relationship with the Lord, and trying to help men through that. And I'd love the opportunity. You can check out bluecollarbrawler.com.
here we go.
Welcome back, everyone. Andrew's here with
Tequila Corrido.
Would you ever wrestle a gator? Oh, I know.
I think that's a little outside my pay grade.
I bet.
I don't know.
If you drank this entire bottle of tequila.
Enough liquid courage.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Then you would have a little liquid courage, right?
I was going to say, tequila might make you do some interesting things. I don't know that
Me
wrestling
too.
a gator would be high up in my list of things to do while drinking tequila, but I guess we can't write it off, right?
Yeah, just like drinking and driving, you shouldn't wrestle a
You should
gator
not.
and drink.
But
Probably
that was
not.
pretty crazy, huh? Have you ever seen that before?
I haven't, and you know what? I'm hopeful that he's sober while he's doing that.
Yeah, I'm sure
I
he
have
is.
a feeling he is. I have a feeling he is.
I have a feeling
Let
he
me grab all
probably
my
is.
stuff out of here because I
So
didn't
it's Cinco
realize.
de Mayo.
Yeah.
And so one of the big ways people celebrate is with a shot to 10, 15 of tequila.
Or maybe just a margarita.
Or a margarita, yeah. So
Tell us about Tequila Corrido.
absolutely. So we are an entirely locally owned and operated business right here in Scottsdale, Arizona. We make our tequila in the highlands of Jalisco, which is, kind of the best place to get your tequila from. Of course, it has to be made in Mexico. So as a local business, we do produce everything down there.
So tell us about kind of the process of making
Yeah,
tequila.
what does tequila come from?
Absolutely. So in our case, it is 100% Weber Blue Agave. Now, this is actually kind of a tricky thing because a lot of brands say that on the label.
Sorry, wrong camera. That was a jump scare of my face right there. I meant to try and get these cool bottles.
Yeah, so we tell the story of the Corrido, which is a smuggler in Spanish. A Corrido means rebel and outlaw. It's also a nod to a type of music. It's a ballad. It's a song written by Prohibition-era smugglers telling stories. And so on our bottle, you see they're kind of adorned with the guitar picks. That's to help create that conversation.
Oh, right there.
To honor the music created by the smuggler, and also just it's a part of our local legend here in Arizona.
Can I ask you, might sound like a dumb question, but I do not know the difference between the three. You've got the Blanco here,
sure.
the Reposado, and then the Añejo.
Can we go back even further, though, when you say tequila is made out of agave, if, for someone who doesn't know what agave is?
Yeah, agave is essentially, in its essence, it's a vegetable. It's similar to a cactus or it's actually in the asparagus family. And so if you're going to talk about what you can drink as far as spirits, it is some of the lowest in the glycemic index, so it doesn't spike your blood sugar. So it's actually one of the healthiest spirits you can drink, especially if you stick to our category, which is additive free. Why that's important is because brands can take some liberties with adding colors and sugars and flavors and all kinds of other things to kind of bolster up the flavor of their tequila.
And that's when you get a hangover.
Yeah, those extra things definitely don't help. And, in our case, we are exclusively additive free and committed to that always. And so you'll never find any of that in our products. So we consider ourselves a high tier of better quality because of that.
So you how does it work though? Like, can you walk us through the process? So you take the agave, and then does it ferment it, or what is exactly?
Yeah,
is the
much
process?
like creating a beer or wine.
Okay.
We're going to harvest the ripe agaves at the end of their life cycle. We're going to cook those to kind of get those sugars caramelized and ready for fermentation. We're going to ferment them in open tanks with yeast, just like you would a beer or wine. It kind of creates like that bubbling sensation. And then from there, we're going to distill it with stills. That's going to concentrate and create an actual spirituous liquor for us.
I always think the science behind any type. I did like a wine tasting, and it's always fascinating, the process. There's a lot of math. There's a lot of science that goes into making a liquor, right?
And I'm glad you mentioned that. So our master distiller, Oscar Vasquez Camarena, is actually a chemist by trade. Right? So for 16 years, he's worked as a distiller doing this very thing in the highlands of Jalisco. And like you said, it is a mixture of art and science, but it's a lot of science. It's a lot of specifics, right? It's right temperature ranges. It's the right kind of yeast. It is a very controlled and scientific
A lot of
thing.
trial and error, I would imagine, too. Like,
Absolutely.
you didn't just say, oh, that's the one, and you bottled it.
Yeah, no, exactly. And to kind of get back to where we were talking about the various types, right? All tequila is going to come out clear to start. In fact, all spirits essentially come off the still clear at that point. When we talk about reposado or añejo, those are kind of aging terms.
Okay.
So reposado means rested, and that refers to a period of 2 to 12 months.
I need a little bit more
barrels.
reposado.
Yeah, you need a little more rest yourself.
We need a little
right?
rest.
We could all use
Not
a little
tequila.
reposado.
We need a little rest.
Yeah, this won't make you feel rested, but it might still lead to a nice day. I'll tell you what, ours is quite unique. We age for 8 months, which is kind of on the high end of the scale of the age time there, and we use 4 very different barrels. We don't use bourbon barrels. We use Hungarian oak, Missouri oak, and a custom 3-stave barrel. That's going to give us a very unique flavor profile, more nutty, honey, and cinnamon-like than caramel and vanilla. So we're really I think our unique identity showcases a lot in the aged expressions.
So make sure I get this right. So it starts like this. Then you age it in barrels?
Exactly. So the natural color that you're seeing there, that kind of shift to the slightly more golden color.
This one right here in the middle?
In the middle there, yeah, that's a natural process that happens over spending 8 months of time in various barrels.
Gotcha. And then the añejo is...
The añejo is going to be longer. Yeah,
okay.
as you notice the jump in color, they're getting darker, getting richer in color. All of that's coming naturally from the oak barrels.
Okay.
And in the case of our añejo, we go 18 months and we use 5 different barrels.
Is it like wine where they say, fine wine ages,
Absolutely.
right, as it's in the barrel, and sometimes you get those vintage. Is that the same case with the tequila?
So the type of barrel you use matters. The amount of time you spend in those barrels also makes a big contributing factor. In a case of our añejo, we're the industry's first to do Mexican Merlot barrels on our finish.
Cool.
And it's funny you mentioned wine, but that is something that, again, the wine barrel is going to impart unique flavors and aromas. And so, each of these does very different things. They're all really exceptional in their range. But as we were going to demonstrate today, making cocktails with these, there's different types of cocktails and different types of things where these will shine.
It doesn't just have to be a margarita.
It doesn't have to
That's
be.
a great thing.
No,
about
that's
tequila.
obviously a great jumping point,
Sure.
right? We all love a great margarita, especially on a day like today when we're celebrating Cinco de Mayo, I think our Blanco tequila being 100% from the highlands of Jalisco, we get a more citrusy, more floral flavor profile, which really lends itself well to citrus drinks like a margarita.
Well, we have someone who said that they bought a bottle of $200 wine. I know we're talking about tequila, and they said that it was very, very smooth and never really had wine that expensive before, if that's what you want to call it. So is that what you see with different types of tequila as well? When, it sits longer and you do pay a little extra, you pay... Not extra, but you have different price ranges.
Sure.
Is it going down smoother? Does it taste better? Does it give you a little bit less of a headache?
So the short answer is yes and no. You got to buyer beware a little bit when it comes to the high end in tequilas as well. Unfortunately, with such rampant use of additives, things like colors and flavors and sugars, it has become more status quo than not. And so the majority of brands do include things that don't really belong, including some of those very, very high end brands. And so unfortunately, there is kind of a tipping point, I think, in the world of tequila where the value starts to outweigh what's actually in the bottle. I think sometimes you end up paying too much for something that is dressed up in a gorgeous bottle.
Oh, very interesting.
That inside may not be as great in quality. However, because of those additives, because of those sugars and things, they can kind of dress those up.
They can get away with it.
They can make them real smooth tasting in those moments, but it is not a true measurement of their quality.
Frankie D is asking where this can be purchased.
Well, here in Arizona, we're in every Total Wine. We're in our local Trevor's liquor stores. In fact, they even do a single barrel selection of our Reposado. So you can find a totally unique version of that out there. Their version is aged 8 months in a 3-stave custom barrel.
Now, are there certain tequilas that go better for a certain cocktail that you're making? Like, is one more of like a, better with a margarita if you're going to make that, or than another?
Yeah.
And is there one that you're like, I don't want to waste this, putting it in a margarita, which has
do you
got
mind
mixes?
if I ask, and if you don't want to talk about, but what's the price difference between that bottle and this
Oh,
bottle?
that's a perfectly good question. And there's a little bit of a range depending on the type of store and things like that. I would say generally you'll find our Blanco around $40 to $50 a bottle. Our Reposado is going to be around $60 to $70, and the Añejo there.
That's not a huge difference. Okay.
Yeah, not drastic. The Añejo is going to be sub 100, probably about 85 to 95. And, they're all very different and great at different things. So if you'd like, I can go ahead and illustrate.
I want to make some.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and
And
grab
we like
the
to help
here.
too, by the way.
Oh yeah, you want to help me sip
We'll
it?
drink it.
All right, well, I'm going to start with a really classic, right? So a margarita in its simplest form is a really, really easy drink to make, right? I don't want anyone to think that it's too complicated. And the best part is this is such a simple recipe that you can scale it up and batch it and larger for if you have a party and you have some people coming over. So what I did was 2 ounces of our tequila. Now, if you don't have bar tools like I have in front of me, it's all right. Use a measuring cup. The idea is the proportions, right? So I'm doing 2 ounces of tequila to 1 ounce of lime and then a ½ ounce of agave. So if you're paying attention at home, each one of those measurements is half of each other.
Okay.
So if you're starting with a cup of tequila and a ½ a cup of lime and then a quarter cup of agave, or
batch it up.
Exactly. You can kind of batch it up like that.
You can squeeze your own lime juice, or you can purchase that. I would imagine fresh squeeze is better.
If fresh squeeze is going to be a little brighter. It doesn't have the shelf life, so if you're going to use it right away, then absolutely that's the best way to go.
Where do we get the agave?
Agave nectar can be purchased at your normal grocery stores. In fact, I got this one, I think, at like a local Bashas' or AJ's or something like that.
We've got about 3 minutes left in show.
All right.
So you know, we're not sure how many cocktails you want to make.
Well, we'll try to be quick here, but we'll just blast through a couple so you can see what we're talking about here.
That's the hardest part, is getting the stupid thing off,
Oh,
right?
yeah. I'd give you a little tip, though. If you give it a smack on the side here like this, kind of tap it where it meets, it'll come apart a little bit easier for you.
You do have all the good tools.
I've got some
They're
fancy
pretty,
stuff
too.
here, you know. But a classic margarita, of course, you can garnish this with sugar or salt if you prefer. However, I think a nice balanced drink.
So look at Ty grabbing for it.
A nice balanced drink doesn't
I do
necessarily
believe he was
need
handing
that.
it to me.
I was, you know, ladies first.
I
but
saw
sorry.
that.
Here you
Yeah,
go.
you know,
Enjoy.
Someone's a little eager.
Salud.
It's a.
No, you can. Here,
No,
take it.
I'll grab the next
All right,
one.
I'll put this one here. And then
You know
we'll-
what? You made a good call because the next one,
better.
is such a nice drink. So I'm
better.
gonna rush through a quick one here. This is one of my favorite classics as well. Adjacent to a margarita, this is a Paloma cocktail.
I love a good Paloma.
And you know what? I love a good Paloma. And our Reposado makes, in my opinion, one of the best you'll ever have.
I've
because
never
we
had a
have nice-
Paloma.
You've never had one? Well,
You
here
like grapefruit juice?
You're about
in
to.
for a treat.
Oh, okay.
So a little variation on the margarita. We do use a little bit of lime, and I'm going to use our Reposado tequila to get a nice kind of light
I wish
honey
you could.
note.
It does smell good.
It smells very
Yeah.
good.
Now a Paloma,
It does
one of the
not
big
smell
differences.
like Cancun when you were 16.
No, and I tell you what, even our tequila on its own has a very pleasant smell to it.
16. Wow.
You went to Cancun at 16.
Well,
She's not confirming nor denying that one.
fake news.
Cannot be confirmed. All right, well, Paloma's a light, dainty, beautiful cocktail made with our Reposado, a little bit of lime juice, and then topped with a pink grapefruit soda.
How pretty
So
is this?
I think that
Cheers.
was perfect one
You
for
want to
you.
show that one off up front?
Oh, that does smell delicious.
Let me look at that one.
Okay.
Ooh, look at that. Oh yeah, that one.
All right, now
I
if-
think you're making one more.
I got one more if we've got the time
Oh,
to
yeah,
rush
we've
it
got
in there.
time.
Cool,
We've
cool.
got about a minute and a half.
So then this
That's
one you're
plenty of
using the
time.
anejo, right?
And you know what? Yeah, we're going to go a different direction this time than like the citrus drinks. Instead of the margarita or Paloma drinks, I'm going to do more like an old-fashioned here.
Oh, I love this.
And of course, we love an old-fashioned with whiskey or rye.
Yeah.
However, with ours getting so much unique oak flavor and so many different things going on, it really showcases a totally unique version. And with that hint of red wine, I'm actually going to make us what I call my mole old-fashioned. So I made a little bit of brown sugar simple syrup here.
Oh.
And that is just brown sugar with water, let it cook down.
Exactly,
A little bit.
equal parts. And the
That's
reason
it.
they call it simple syrup is it's 1-to-1.
It's
It's about
simple.
as simple as it can get, right?
Phoenix Mafia is saying, so which one has a smooth taste, not so hard on your throat?
I'll tell you what, we have a really finesse lineup, so all of them are really unique and smooth. But for what it's worth, I don't think any of them are too harsh.
Okay.
We do a unique thing where we rest our tequila for 30 days in stainless steel tanks at all levels before it goes to barrel or bottle. And that's going to make a nice, light, approachable, soft finish no matter what we're drinking.
Website, one more time.
I love tequilacorrido.com. We've got a nice store finder on there. Keep up with our events and figure out where we're at.
That's beautiful. Look
Last
at
drink
that.
there, mole old fashioned, a simple
Mole
cocktail,
old-fashioned.
añejo.
All right, here.
brown
You
sugar,
take that one.
mole.
I'll take this
Cheers.
one.
Cheers.
To
Cheers.
tequila.
To tequila.
Happy Cinco de
Happy Cinco,
Mayo.
everyone.
We'll see you guys tomorrow.
We'll see you guys tomorrow.
welcome to Roma 23. This is me, Wendy Gonzalez. I'm an assistant manager here. This is our chef, Jose, and